Shalom Uvracha from Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. Tonight we begin with the help of God, Chapter 2, Mishnah 8 of our study of Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, Perek Bet, Mishnah Het. According to most commentaries and authorities, the underlying message of the Mishnah teaching that we're beginning this evening is that a person's goals, a person's aspirations should be directed towards spiritual accomplishments. Even those material and physical pursuits, which are truly desirable and pleasurable, can often lead a person to a situation which could be their own detriment. We hope, with the help of God, to study each part of this very important Mishnah, and even if it takes us several sessions, I know that our great videographer here is Rabbi Yaakov, we appreciate it. Even if it takes us several sessions to do so, we will hopefully study each of the teachings in this Mishnah, because after delineating the potential letdown that can often be combined with certain levels of physical pursuits, in contradistinction, the continuation of the Mishnah teaches, well, if you pursue righteousness, if you pursue Torah, if you pursue good deeds, if you pursue charity, that will be very blessed. Let us begin. The Mishnah begins, again, Perek Bet Mishnah Het, Chapter 2, Mishnah 8. Hu Haya Omer. He used to say, we are talking about the great teacher Hillel. We have studied many of the teachings of Hillel, and this is one of his teachings. Hu Haya Omer. Now, Hu Haya Omer does not mean he said, but Hu Haya Omer means he would constantly say. I don't know how many times in the lifetime of Hillel he taught this, but this was a common teaching of Hillel. He felt that despite the lure of eating and drinking, marbe basar, marbe rima. Those are the four words that we're focusing on this evening. Marbe basar. Basar can mean flesh. The more flesh, marbe from the word harbe. Marbe basar, marbe rima. And in most commentaries, rima means worms. In most commentaries, the general flow and message of the Mishnah is taken to mean, if a person puts on weight through excessive eating and drinking, now they want to eat a lot, they want to drink a lot, well, they should be aware of the fact that they're not going to be alive forever, that their body will be laid to rest at a certain point, and the more physical flesh that's there, the more worms will be there eating at their body. That's the way most commentaries read this text. I hope this is not too morbid for our participants, right? Marbe basar, marbe rima. The excessive eating and drinking, which will bring to excessive weight, there will be more worms which will be attracted to his or her grave after their demise. Similar expressions can be found in Chapter 3, with the help of God. We get there someday. Chapter 3, Mishnah 1, where we are told that eventually we're all going to the place of Makom, Afar, Rima, V'toleah. La'anata holech, where are you headed? Well, we're headed to a place of dust, worms, and maggots. So according to this interpretation, in the language of Rav Ovadia Bar Tanura, one of the classical commentaries on the Mishnah, I'll read it in Hebrew, I'll try to translate it. Hamarbeh ba'achila u'shtiyah. If a person overindulges in eating and drinking, ad shena'asa shamein u'ba'al basar, until the point where they become obese, Marbe alav rima bakever. They're just increasing the amount of worms in their gravesite. Vikasha or kasha rima lemeit kimachat bebasar chai. Maggots eating away at the flesh of the person who is buried are as painful to the person as sharp needles are to the flesh of the living. So, according to this interpretation, if you want to protect your own being, make sure that you don't overindulge in eating and drinking. Now, there's a discussion in the commentary called Tosfot Yom Tov by Rav Yom Tov Heller. What type of pain are we talking about? I mean, the person experiences physical pain after they're dead. The nervous system is gone. Does it mean a spiritual pursuit? Does it mean the pursuit of the pain of the soul, watching the body decay and putrefy? However, if you want to look in Tosfot Yom Tov, he has several approaches. But all of them seem to be discussing this general Marbe Basar, Marbe Rima. The question is the Mishnah to be understood as teaching the negative aspects of obesity? Is our Mishnah connected to that which is well taught already today in many medical sources, that a person who is overweight can, God forbid, be exposed to many medical issues and problems? May Hashem protect everyone, and may they all be healthy. Even those of us who are overweight, even those of us who have one reason or another, Marbe Basar, may they be protected. Is that what the Mishnah is teaching? Could be. Is the Mishnah connected to the fact that medicine, or certain branches of medicine, teach today that obesity can be connected, God forbid, to heart disease, to strokes, to high blood pressure, to diabetes, to some cancers, to gout, to breathing problems, and the list continues? Is that the point? Is that the message of the Mishnah? Well, perhaps. Can we say that there are certain spiritual dangers to overeating as well? In Tana Devei Eliyahu, we read, one of the Midrashic sources, be careful. Sometimes you have to be well aware and well awake. And the Tana Devei Eliyahu teaches, Yishmor atzmo me'achila u'shtiya harbe. Be careful. Don't overeat. Don't overdrink. Ki mitoch she'ochel v'shoteh harbe yavo lidei tenuma. Could often be so tiring. A person is so tired, especially if they eat the wrong kinds of foods. We have health experts sitting here at the table. So sometimes they eat the wrong kinds of foods. You think that it'll be a source of energy, and suddenly they can't even stand up after the meal. Is that what it means? Additionally, perhaps, maybe the Mishnah can be read to teach that to many people, their culinary dreams, you speak to them like, what would you like, are very much connected to basar, to meat. We have deep respect for the vegetarians and vegans present, both here in the room and watching on YouTube, yes? But there are many people in the world that's what they think about, like basar. They long to enjoy a great deal of meat. Ein simcha ela b'basar. They really feel that will bring them, joy or happiness. Meat burgers, spare ribs, lamb chops, thick steaks. And maybe the Mishnah is downplaying, the marbe basar. Maybe, but be careful. But maybe the Mishnah is warning us to be careful about marbe basar. Did you ever see what happens when meat is not properly refrigerated? Marbe basar, marbe rima. Indeed, increased meat can bring increased levels of ants, of rodents, of worms, and of maggots. Just today, this afternoon, I met someone who told me of how there was a power struggle, an electrical power shortage in his building, and he unfortunately Fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately until it happened. Unfortunately after he had it. Unfortunately he had a freezer. A large freezer filled with expensive meats. By the time he came home, and he had not known that the electricity had gone off, it was many hours without electricity, the entire refrigerator and parts of his kitchen, the entire refrigerator was filled with different types of worms. That fits right into the Mishnah, right? Marbeh basar, marbeh rima. Is that a possible reading of our Mishnah? Can we suggest that meat represents, conceptually speaking, not just meat, but meat represents various forms of physical indulgence or overindulgence? Unrefrigerated meat often can bring negative results. Spiritually speaking, unrefrigerated, unpickled, spiritual meat can also lead to disastrous results. Meat in the proper context, very, very beautiful, very, very much to be encouraged. Those people who have Shabbat meals, Shabbat Kodesh, the Holy Shabbat, we mentioned in our song, Basar, V'dagim, V'chol Matamim. Many people, that's the essence of their Shabbat meal, meat, their Yom Tov festivals, the great holidays. Many people serve tonight. I want to wish everyone a Chodesh Tov tonight. You should have a beautiful month, everyone here and everyone there and everyone everywhere. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the Jewish month. Oh, Rosh Chodesh. So in the Shulchan Aruch, in the Code of Jewish Law, we have a tradition, mitzvah laharbot, b'seudat Rosh Chodesh. There's a mitzvah to increase, the same word, laharbot, marbeh. Mitzvah laharbot, b'seudat Rosh Chodesh. A person, so some people eat special foods, amongst them in a certain community, they eat special meat on Rosh Chodesh. So maybe in its context, it's wonderful, but be careful. Marbeh basar, out of proper context. Spiritually speaking, if you don't keep it within its proper confines, like in proper refrigeration or freezing, it may lead to the opposite. It may lead to rima. You know, the rabbis sing the praises of one of the great Kohanim priests who ate the sanctified sacrificial meat in very great quantities. Read the description if you're interested. Read the description at the end of Masechet Kritot. Masechet Kritot, the very end. Tractate Kritot, page 28a. I'll read it in Hebrew. Pitchu she'arim. Open up the gateways of the temple. V'yikanes Yochanan ben Rabbi. Talmido shel Pirkei. Oh, there's one person who has to really enter the sanctuary. He's a very significant character. You know what? You know what his claim to fame is? He filled his stomach with Kodesh Shamayim. V'yimalei kreso mikodesh Shamayim. Because his intestines, his stomach was filled with the sacrificial meat. Now, the numbers that are written here, I assume are exaggerated numbers, but I'll read them anyway. Amru alav al Yochanan, shaya ochel shlosh me'ot agalim. He ate hundreds of calves. Shotesh shlosh me'ot garbei yayin. These numbers are whatever it means, Rabbeinu Rav Tzvi Hirsch Chayut, in his introduction to the Talmud, if anybody's interested, he wrote in the Mavot HaTalmud that many of the numbers in these kinds of contextual references are not to be taken literally. It's very beautiful Mavot HaTalmud. It's worth reading of the Maratz Chayat. V'ochel arba'im sa'a gozalot b'kinuach suda. Even his dessert, he who knows how many tens of types of birds, Okay. Amru, they said about Yochanan, that as long as he was the Kohen in the temple, we have a teaching in the Torah that meat that's not eaten by a certain time, it's called notar. If it's allowed to be eaten, let's say, 1 day and 1 night, or 2 days. And what happens if it's not eaten by that time? Hanotar, Yom HaShalishi, there was never anything left over at the time of Yochanan, because milei kreso, because if there's any meat around, just where's Yochanan? And Yochanan took care of it. So they're praising him. They're not criticizing him, seemingly. And even if these numbers are all exaggerated, the message is clear. There is a way to eat meat, even even excessively to eat. That's what he did. In the context of the service of God, in the context of the sanctuary of God, in the context of righteousness and holiness. According to this teaching in the Agadic passage, Yochanan ben Advai had special honorable mention for his consumption of the sacred meat. But the rabbis also teach in Tractate Pesachim, page 49b, Tanya, Rabbi Omer, Am haaretz asur le'echol basar. A person who is ignorant of Torah is not permitted to consume meat. Shene'emar, as it says in the 11th chapter of Leviticus, Zot Torat habehema v'ha'of. These are the Torah teachings. This is the Torah of animals and birds. This is the Torah of animals and chicken, you know. Kol ha'osek b'Torah. If a person occupies himself or herself with Torah, mutar lechol b'sar behema va'of. Then by all means, it's permitted to eat, you know, meat products. But v'chol she'eno osek b'Torah, but a person who distances himself or herself from Torah, does not occupy himself with Torah, asur lechol b'sar behema va'of. They're prohibited to eat. Now, what the ramifications of this teaching can be very, you know, very, very far. I mean, on some level, I believe that many vegetarians, many vegans probably relate greatly to this teaching on a very, very deep level. One has to be, I guess that's one of the claims, one has to be on a certain level of sensitivity, on a certain level of righteousness, on a certain level of advancement, to be able to be permitted to consume meat. You know, Rav Kook wrote an entire treatise. Rabbi Kook wrote a whole treatise on Torah Tatzimchonot, about the Torah of vegetarianism. He himself was either completely or almost a vegetarian. Hillel enjoins us. Hillel teaches us, be careful. Be careful with the pursuit of meat. Marbeh basar, marbeh rima. Meat may be eaten. Meat may be enjoyed, but be careful in improper indulgence. I pray together with everyone here, may we learn the proper levels of balance, enjoying the blessings of God's world without ever overdoing it and improperly, excessively accessing those blessings of God, which we are supposed to limit in certain ways. Thank you so much for listening. Shalom.